Hey, what's up? I'm Marty Yang, creator of the Lucky Brain podcast. Thanks so much for tuning in. If you're enjoying the content, please hit the like button and also subscribe to my channel. Thanks so much. Hope you enjoy. Yeah, cool, man. So what's up? Dude? Long time no see.
Very long time. How have you been?
Yeah, I've been good, dude. Just adjusting to these new and crazy times. Yourself?
Yeah, that sounds about right. Uh I mean, right, we're sheltering in place. It's been an interesting time. We found out my wife was pregnant probably like a week or two before
Congratulations.
sheltering in place started happening.
Yeah.
Thank you. So like economically, it's like there's people that are having it a lot worse, right? It feels tenuous on the surface, doing pretty good. See what happens. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
See what happens.
Exactly.
um but we have this time to just be together as a family, and we have, right, like 3 more months before, like, these next 3 months, like, is time that we get to have with just like us three before welcoming another life in here. And so it's beautiful and it's awesome, and it's like, yeah, it's everything, right? Like,
Amazing.
yeah, when you have
Yeah.
your own business.
Yeah, that's good to hear, man. I mean, yeah, it is crazy times, and people are having it a lot harder than you or I'm sure. So it's interesting because some people are having like a really bad time, like getting divorces and just kind
Yeah.
of going crazy financially. I'm sure of
Mhm.
it. And then some people are just like really doing well, and their business is flourishing. So it's very strange times right now how people are adjusting. But
Yeah.
nonetheless, I wanted to hop on a podcast with you because I was looking into Andrew Yang a little bit more, and with the elections coming up, I thought this might be something people would be interested in and listening to or hearing about. How did you first
Hmm.
get wind of Andrew Yang?
On Facebook, had a friend post about him here and there, and so it was really quiet, like coming into my awareness. And when it finally started to register, like, oh, there's an Asian guy that's running for president, and instinctively I was like, I'm not gonna vote for someone just because they're Asian. It was just like a real quick reaction, and I just kept moving, you know. And
Yeah.
then after a while, I was like, like, why wouldn't I look into that? And I just kind of like started to see his name kind of show up in like from different people slowly. And so I did some research. Just like, he has so many awesome videos on YouTube, right? The Joe Rogan podcast, the one with Sam Harris. There's
Yeah.
just like so many, and like after a while, like the message is incredibly. It's like the same, but like you just want to hear that, like you just want to hear it played one more time, you
Yeah.
know.
Yeah.
And it's just interesting, but like, sorry.
He's very articulate too. I love hearing him form sentences and hearing his and hearing his thinking about like what he's going to say, because he actually thinks about what he's going to say, and I think that's something that we're currently lacking with leadership.
It's very intentional.
Yeah.
It's very intentional, and I think it's very informed, and I think it's also very like unreactive. It's very creative, kind of like he kind of like has this one side, like, where he can, it seems like, really see something like clearer than I think a lot of the other candidates or like even politicians like able to, are like, really see it from, like, without the ideology, and then kind of like, all right, well, yeah, just like it's like a forward moving vision of like what to create, and then like what are the solutions to get there. It's just so like non-reactive that it was really a breath of fresh air to me.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, he's
Yeah.
kind of confident, or actually really confident in the way his ideas are, like his vision for the future. And I found
Hmm.
that very refreshing because again, you can see the wheels turning as he's speaking, and he's not only giving off like the same type of speech, although mainly the content is, but like you said, it's very creative in the way that he's like putting that information out there. But I was impressed by him not only because of that, but because of just the way that he's looking at the way that our economy is functioning, and how he was talking about on Joe's podcast. The story is one of economics. And he was talking about how we outsourced many manufacturing jobs, and I think that's so like objective, and I really appreciate that, because Joe's podcast, he's pretty objective too, or at least tries to be. And the way that he was just able to have a casual conversation about really like high level and important stuff, like coming up the pike, as he would say. Like, yeah,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, like, yeah. It was pretty sad that he didn't get the nomination. But do you think that he'll run for presidency in 2024?
He's playing like he's going to run, and I don't think people are even crazy for saying Yang 2024. Yeah,
Yeah,
I'm
that
pretty sure he's running again, or like we're all kind of hoping
yeah,
he will. But yeah, like it's not like one or two people think that. Like the Yang gang, like we all just kind of like expect.
yeah, and it's an interesting time right
Yeah.
now too, because I think the like political discourse in our nation is, either pretty much like left or right, left or right. But I think there's a like new kind of awareness coming to the majority of the population when it comes to how corrupt and flawed our political system is. I mean, when you think about it, it's all about money and power and the lobbyists and big corporations flooding money in. And so he had another good idea, though, which I thought was, yeah, it was a good idea about he called it democracy dollars, and
Yeah.
this is was the idea that you give every citizen, every voting citizen, $100, 100 democracy dollars, to put towards any person's campaign of their liking, and so you kind of like wash out the corporate money and the lobbyists. What was your thought on that?
Uh, and he was saying that right, it'd be like a voucher or something.
Yeah,
But and like it would, I think the math was that it would wash out lobbyist cash somewhere between like 4 to 8 times or something. Like if just like 50% of Americans actually used their democracy dollars to support a candidate that really spoke to their values and not lobbyist values.
yeah.
Um, I thought that was like it's a very holistic um, and even counterintuitive idea, right? Like because the intuitive idea or the thing that you would instinctively do is say try to stop that corporate money. But it's like how are you going to do that? Like, are you going to really get enough people to vote this and then like kind of like cut off the influence of the corporate money in the meanwhile so that they can really vote earnestly and do all that convincing? So like it's like, all right, well, let's just flow instead of like fighting that, like let's just flow with it and say, all right, well, we'll just outweigh that money with 100 democracy dollars. It doesn't really cost anything. It's a voucher.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah.
you know, it's just so simple. You know, like, but like that kind of skates to where it's not like fighting against like what is. It just kind of like moves into like where you want it to go,
Yeah,
sort of thing. You
yeah, yeah.
know?
He's very solution oriented,
Yeah.
which I really appreciate about the guy. But he's able to analyze like, hey, what's the problems that we're facing here, and with the democracy dollar issue, he was like, all right, well, the issue is like corporations have way too much influence on our political system, because they're just pumping so much money in there, and then the politicians are like regular people, like when you get to a position of like power, like Kanye West said, man, no one man should have all that power. And I think it's true, man. It's kind of crazy, I don't think that we're meant to function with so much influence like that. But with the democracy dollars, that was a good idea for to put out, because then I would feel like my vote my contribution actually does count, and not only my vote, but like my peers vote as well, as opposed to
Hmm.
the current situation I'm in right now. I'm just like, dude, I'm probably not even gonna vote straight up,
Hmm.
you know. So
And so like you have less incentive or less of a reason or just less of a chance of like wanting to research and look into candidates or whatever anyway. Like why would you even like think to look at it if you think that like you don't have the resources to like try to like swing it a little bit? Right? Like really I'm just gonna spend all my time to vote, you know?
exactly. So when it comes,
Yeah. But like it kind of arms people to play that a little bit.
yeah. So when it comes to the president nomination, I honestly don't think I'm going to vote. It's a strange time right now, man. But yeah, I wanted to come. You're a Asian man of intelligence and business, and so it made sense that when I saw you posting on Facebook about Andrew Yang, I'm like, Calvin's a smart dude. I think the first time I heard about him was from you on Facebook, and then I seen his name.
Okay, I did my job.
Yeah. Woo, woo. And then and then I think I seen him on yeah, then I seen him on Joe's podcast. But I mean, nonetheless, dude, I still just wanted to chat with you, catch up, and talk about like
For
kind of.
sure, dude. What was the most eye-opening one to you like of his policies? He's got so many, man, you
Yeah, I
know?
think the big one, the one that he's running for, is universal basic income.
Yeah,
I,
that's
I thought that was, and then when he was like, "All right," Joe was like, "All right, explain like how we're gonna pay for this," and then he actually explained in like pretty good detail how the money, like what was it, $1.8 trillion or something along those lines, how the money is going. I'm like, dude, that's great. Like, I love people who are so smart, but they could put it in layman's term to where I could understand it. That's beautiful.
hmm
I like that a lot. But that's the policy that I thought was super important, just because of automation. And I mean, him and Joe were really thorough when they were talking about just like self-driving trucks, for
hmm
example. And I'm a pretty optimistic person, but I don't feel very optimistic when it comes to our presidential choices for election. And I don't think that the next
hmm
few years to even a decade is it's going to be, I feel like, a challenging time for Americans, and so we're going to have to adapt.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that much is clear. Like I don't think there are very many people who look at the thing as a whole and be like, the thing as a whole is going to get better. There's going to be a certain segment they're stoked, or like they'll figure a way out and like come ahead like for like in their own ways, like in their own lives, in their own business, like for their own position. But like I don't think there's anyone like, I don't unless you're like some superhero with like you're sitting on some awesome technology that you're developing that like no one else knows about for now, or yeah, I don't think there's anyone like looking at the whole like, yeah, this is gonna get better. We're getting stronger, we're getting more united, right? We're getting more human, we're getting more free,
Yeah,
we're getting more intelligent.
doesn't seem like that.
That hurts, man. you know
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think Andrew Yang's candidacy, especially his book, I think spelled out a lot of. Uh, he took like a lot of what I kind of like intuitive was like, this is messed up, this is messed up, this is destabilizing, right? And he like was able to like talk to it about like, like here are some of like the main contributing things to income inequality, or like just Americans not being able to like really be at their best, right? And like he was able to articulate the problem, and I think in a very um clear and honest way.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah, and like factual, non-biased.
Yeah, that's what I
um
appreciate about him a lot. And then his experience coming back, just being a serial entrepreneur, I think is the term that he was using. How
mhm.
his job was to create jobs, help entrepreneurs start businesses. How he operated in like, I don't know, 30 different cities across the nation or things like that. So,
Mhm.
it's a lot of like similarities to Donald Trump when it comes to business, maybe not in terms of like dollars and revenue, but I almost enjoy that more because he seems a more ethical business person, compared to Donald Trump.
Way more. Yeah. Have you seen any of his like presentations that he did when he was with Venture for America?
No.
There's a I don't know if it's a keynote, but he did like this workshop or a session where he did a talk basically. I think at Georgetown. Um, I think when you kind of look back at what he did like before running for president, I think it shows like a lot of character.
Yeah.
Like when he built Manhattan GMAT to like a couple million and then like it sold, he actually like paid out like his employees. Like he gave them a chunk of the proceeds and he didn't have to. He just chose to because he felt like it was the right thing to do.
Hmm.
Like, and I think when you hear, if you were to watch that video where he was doing that talk for Venture for America, you kind of see how like he's always had this vision to solve big problems, like big structural sort of systemic problems in the like unconventional ways. But there's this sort of pragmatic optimism or like a pragmatic idealism that he approaches it with. And it's just, I think it's very inspiring
Oh, I love
to
that.
watch people like that, you
Yeah,
know?
I love that word, inspiring. This is
Yeah.
something that I think, for me, I don't get the sense as the leader of our country. Don't get me wrong, Donald Trump probably has, and in my mind, and I was just talking about this on a podcast yesterday, that Donald Trump probably has a lot of good qualities when it comes to being the president of the United States because it's a power position, and he understands power moves and how to like yeah. So there's some things that I think that he could be doing well. I don't pay attention to too much of like his policies, but again, man, I just as the leader of our country, you use the word inspiring, and to me, Donald Trump is not very inspiring when it comes to the essence of America. I just don't think that. But Andrew, he seems a lot more inspiring um, than really any other person that I've seen on the political stage. Yeah,
I think, yeah, like it's I think where I think Andrew Yang kind of like exemplifies. I don't want to say like some like fanboy stuff, or I don't know if I can cuss here. Like I don't know if I can say some fanboy shit like, oh yeah, like he calls out to like the best in us or whatever, right? But like he's a smart, compassionate dude who like is like future oriented. He's informed and like he wants to do good by people like overall in the large system. And then you have that compared to the current president. I don't know that I'm going to be as generous as you have been. Like I'm sure he has redeeming qualities and also like just a very human story that his niece like wrote about in this book about how basically he's like had a pretty emotionally void childhood, I guess. That whatever, right? So he's human and then experiences and then expressions of that,
yeah,
right? Um, but you compare that to Trump, like like his like what was his wealth really built on? Like when what was his success really based on,
right.
right? Like, it's been like a win-lose proposition the whole time. Like he's been a cheat, dude. Like cheaters aren't winners.
Yeah,
You know what I mean? And
yeah,
like put a cheater into like the White House.
yeah.
I don't know, like politics is a dirty game, right? So it's not like, like without Trump they'd be so clean. Like no,
No way.
right? But it's just like, yeah, like you're not draining no swamp if you're
No.
like that's what you're writing in on.
It's interesting to me that he didn't get more, I guess, attention or more of a vote because Donald Trump was so popular because he wasn't the politician, right? Like when he was running, that's for me what I got excited about. It's like, okay, he's an outsider, so to speak. But
Yeah.
so is Andrew Yang, and he's a businessman, and he's smart, and he's reasonable, compassionate, like you said. inspiring. And it was surprising to me that he didn't gain more traction. But yeah, maybe he'll run in 2024. But
Yeah.
talking about politics, I know is like turns people off, turns some people on, but it's a very polarizing subject. But I just think kind of like, bringing it back to kind of the essence of kind of where we're trying to go as a nation. I think that Andrew is an outsider. He's not a politician. He's a business person. And he thinks very logically, and he's about the numbers. And dude, I mean, I don't know what more you can ask for in a presidential candidate than Andrew Yang. So when you're talking about him,
I think some people would ask for like experience.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Like for some people, they're like, well, I mean, like what is he really, he's got all these great ideas, how he's going to implement like relationships, whatever. Yeah, I think you made a pretty good, like an interesting sort of juxtaposition, like, Trump and Andrew Yang, they're both, right? Like they're both businessmen. They're both outsiders, right? From New York, even. Like, how come and like, I think Andrew Yang just has, like, he's like so new on the scene, you know what I mean? Like Trump has had a long kind of like and colorful platform in a way. But I think that's where it's just like, Andrew Yang's got time, yeah, people were like, give him time. Like, he's got time. I think it's really more like, does America have time? And I'm not trying, right? Like, I don't, it's not like Andrew Yang himself is like the savior, but I think what he represents, you know what I mean? Like where he comes from, we just need more of that.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, definitely agree on that, man.
Yeah.
I don't want to take too much more of your time, dude. I just wanted to hop on and just like kind of catch up and get your thoughts on Andrew. So thanks so much for your time, Calvin. I appreciate it.
Yeah,
Dude.
Marty, this was fun, dude.
Yeah, when everything dies down, let's do one in person. Maybe next year.
Yeah, sounds good.
Cool, man.
All right, brother, man.
Cool,
dude. Thanks.
Later. Hey, what's up? I'm Marty Yang, creator of the Lucky Brain podcast. Thanks so much for tuning in. If you're enjoying the content, please hit the like button and also subscribe to my channel. Thanks so much. Hope you enjoy.